This is the new Gazelle Ultimate T10 HMB. Comes in a high step and a beautiful step through. A lot of Gazelle's electric bikes look like this, very approachable, smooth welds, and yet fairly sturdy. And of course, these are fully equipped, but I would consider this a hybrid. We've got this single crown suspension fork now with more travel, 75 millimeters versus one of those integrated suspension shocks that's not adjustable or anything. This one has lockout and preload over here, so it's actually fairly good, but it's steel. It's a spring fork. It's not air. It's going to weigh a little bit more. We do have quick release up front, standard hub spacing, 100 millimeters, and these beautiful tires. Schwalbe, 50 km/h rated, Energizer Plus, G-Guard 5, so puncture protected, and Addix E, so e-bike specific rubber, 28 by 2 inches wide. So a lot of mountain bikes, you might see 29ers or 27.5, and this is kind of almost like a city standard, that 28, but still really nice with the reflective sidewall stripes, the integrated headlight mounted right up here on the crown versus the arch. So the arch would bounce up and down and your light beam would shake and possibly rattle out of position. I love where this one's positioned because it still points where you steer. It's not going to get blocked by that fender or the tire itself. It has its side cut out and it's aimable. So very well done. It doesn't clutter the cockpit, which is already fairly busy with the Kiox 300 and the LED remote and the shifters and everything. Of course, on the rear, we also have that nice wraparound light and the MIK HD rack. This is nice. There's mounting is key accessories that clip onto the top or the sides. You can see that over here with these nice panniers. Oh, I should mention 2 frame colors for the step through, this like white and orange or blue, and then high step comes in blue. 3 frame sizes, so very approachable and really dialed in. We do have adjustable reach on the hydraulic disc brakes. Shimano, pretty nice stuff. 180 millimeter rotor up front with 160 in the rear. That's pretty common on all of the Gazelle bikes I've been looking at. And this one quick release in the front and rear because it doesn't have like an internally geared hub like a lot of the other Gazelles do. This has a 10-speed cassette, 11 to 42 teeth, pretty good spread, and a Shimano Deore long cage derailleur with the clutch, so that little gray lever tightens it up and keeps the chain from bouncing around, which is perfect if you're actually using this on some off-road kind of hybrid applications, maybe a light cross-country type of thing. And we have this plastic chain cover, pretty nice, a little bit more surround than some of the other ones I've seen, a little lighter weight, and even covers the chain ring up front, although it can be a bit problematic if your chain actually hops off at some point to get it back on with these. You have to do a little bit more screwing around. Really nice aluminum alloy fenders, very sturdy feeling and integrated with that rack, and there's extra metal reinforcement here to make it just that much sturdier. Pannier hangers on the sides. We do have a nice Celluroil Ascenza Plus saddle. No suspension seat post here, which is something I see on a lot of their other kind of city models. Again, 75 millimeters up there. So one thing you could do is add a suspension seat post, but it's gonna increase your minimum saddle height by about 3 inches depending on which suspension post you get. You've got these locking ergonomic grips up here. They're rubber, whereas a lot of the other Gazelle bikes seem to have like leather ergonomic grips, and I like Ergon. These are very durable, they feel very solid, and that's perfect for going off-road a little bit. We do have an adjustable angle stem, again, very common to Gazelle. I would keep an eye on this. Just make sure it doesn't rattle loose if you're actually riding off-road. We see that it's in a very upright position right now for that kind of Dutch body position where you're looking around and you're more casual in the city. But this is a relatively flat handlebar. So mountain bike bars tend to be wider and flat. This one sort of flat, but then it sweeps backwards to give you a little bit more comfort, kind of along with these ergonomic grips, so you aren't having to twist your wrists in. You might notice it's not as wide as a mountain bike handlebar, and that probably makes it easier to pass through doorways and go between cars when you are riding in the city. I love that we've got bottle cage bosses here on the high step, but we don't have it on the step through. And if you look at the battery charging port, it's low on the frame right here, and it's on the left side where the kickstand is, so the bike's kind of tipping towards me, and if it was plugged in and the pedals turned back like this, you'd kind of snag and potentially bump it out of position. So it's not perfect. We do have the battery locking cylinder up high, again on the left-hand side. Some of the other Gazelle bikes are putting the charge port here and here, which I much prefer. Down here it can just get bumped, it gets a little wetter and just, less convenient. We do have an AXA key that works with this cafe lock, so that puts a rod through the rear wheel and sort of disables the bike unless you're carrying it, dragging it away. And that same key unlocks the battery. This is the Bosch PowerTube 625, and I like that it's top loading because a lot of times with the bottom loading batteries, especially when you have fenders, it's pretty tight and it's heavy, it's inconvenient to try to reach it and maneuver it out. So I like that it's top mounted, but it does take the spot for where you could mount another bottle cage, for example. But considering that they didn't even put bottle cage bosses here on the seat tube, it's kind of a missed opportunity and something I wanted to call out. Also, with the Bosch battery interface, you have to kind of keep the key in when you're slotting the battery back, and it's just a little bit more of a hassle. So again, top mounting, totally the way to go. I do wish that you could fully remove these keys from the AXA frame lock, because as you're riding along, imagine if you have even more keys on your keychain for your house or your garage or whatever, and they're going like this the whole time and they're hitting your shoe or your pants. It's pretty close to where water and debris and stuff is with that tire. So I just feel like they do have locks like this that you can pull the key out even when it's in the unlocked position, and I wish they had used one of those. Also up here at the cockpit, go ahead and power on the LED remote. Does a little dance. 10 bars of battery infographic, so it goes blue, white is half full, and red means, okay, you're getting pretty low here, and this isn't even set up. We got the Kiox 300, color display, removable, pretty nice thing. Lots of options and settings to explore, but you can ride the bike just with this LED remote, and that's what a lot of mountain bikers do because it's just a lot cleaner and stealthier. Left, right, navigates through this menu, but plus and minus raises or lowers your assist levels. So Eco, Tour, Sport, Turbo. You can adjust Eco and Turbo using the eBike Flow app, since this is part of the Smart System family. And there's even like kind of a cool geo-fence thing, so the bike locks the electronics when you aren't there with your phone. One downside is that you've got this high capacity battery. There's even a charge port on the bottom of the LED remote, but that's actually just for diagnostics. It doesn't fill your phone. And I complain about that a lot because it's like you have the hardware right here. You might want to use your phone as a bigger display for GPS or something. Bosch does have an alternative mount specifically for smartphones. It's just something minor. And ultimately, I think the display and everything works pretty well. If you hold the plus button for a couple seconds, you get the headlights activate. And you can see that nice side visibility I was talking about. So all in all, a pretty cool platform, perfect for a hybrid, totally commuter ready. Gazelle has a 10-year warranty on their frames, really nice paint, very corrosion resistant. We are here in North Vancouver, British Columbia with the ocean. So Gazelle, it's this Dutch company, and they're also thinking about people who might be near water and salt and trying to make their frames just super reliable. Bosch has a 2-year comprehensive warranty on all the electronics. It's very reliable and trustworthy in my opinion and my experience with dealers. And what we're working with here is the performance line, which gives you 75 Newton meters of torque. So this is a higher torque system, and you're still getting high performance in terms of pedal cadence matching. It measures pedal cadence, pedal torque, and rear wheel speed over 1,000 times per second, including shift detection, so you don't grind your gears and mess up the chain. One downside of this particular build is that we've got that spoke magnet and an external sensor. A lot of the mountain bikes and newer ones are coming with like a little magnet and sensor that are more hub integrated, so it's out of the way and you won't get read errors quite as much. All in all, a really cool platform. I'm excited for Gazelle, and I see how they've improved it, especially with suspension and those nice tires that have some tread. This is just a review short. I might go in-depth in the future if there's interest in that. Thanks again to Reckless Shipyards in North Vancouver for loaning me these bikes. This is not a paid review of any sort. I'm not affiliated with Gazelle. Just fun looking at these bikes that people are trying out. Ride safe. I love ya. We'll see you next time.